Stop what you're doing, ladies and gentlemen, because this could be the most embarrassing narrative twist in the history of hip-hop relationships. Imagine being discarded in public by the woman you left her for after years of being held down by her, going through jail time, industry shadowing, and every scandal that could have killed you. And not simply discarded. According to reports, Claressa Shields, the GWAT herself, kicked Papoose out the door like sneakers from the previous season and didn't even turn around. Sources with extensive knowledge of the sector. Pap has been walking around with that 1,000 stare, mumbling about mistakes and what, remark those who never get it wrong. Might have been. Translation, he is consumed by regret. The man who boasted about his loyalty is now the quintessential example of the saying, you never know what you've got until it's gone. Here's the worst part, though. Remy Ma isn't even returning his calls, according to insiders. Unfortunately, the Queen has moved on and seems to be enjoying his demise as much as she would a Netflix series. And what do you know? With popcorn in hand, people are monitoring the streets while they wait for the next tea spill. For this is more than karma. With VIP ringside seats, this is karma. Let's go back in time, ladies and gentlemen, because we need to see where the cracks first appeared in order to really comprehend how viciously Papoose got here. The streets used to love to cheer for Papoose and Remy Ma, the hip-hop power couple. By way of Pap, who visited Ray weekly, held her down, and publicly stated that no amount of time in prison could sever their link, became the epitome of fidelity after Ray's 6-year prison stint. Rap history was cemented with that portrayal of him as the loyal husband. But that flawless photo received a terrible smear somewhere in the process. Months before the present circus made news, industry rumors began to circulate. It was reported that Pap had been seen at a few Claressa Shields promotional events, and not just as a kind, helpful acquaintance. No, according to insiders, there were changes in energy, the lingering hugs, intimate discussions in dimly lit areas, the kind of behavior that is not overlooked when cameras are around. Initially, it was dismissed as innocuous networking. After all, Pap is accustomed to hanging around with heavyweights, and Claressa is the face of women's boxing. Then, however, the so-called networking changed. Pap appeared out of nowhere at picture shoots, training camps, and even informal dinners without Remy. He maintained his composure when asked in interviews, claiming he was only backing a champion in her lane. However, that champion reportedly had a fiancé behind the scenes. This fact heightens the outrage of what followed. Because things get messy here. Several anonymous sources connected to both groups claim that Pap and Claressa started creating what one insider, unquestionable chemistry. It didn't happen right away. It burned slowly. The kind of gentle flirtation that builds into something more than you can ignore. After a while, the suspicions of an affair evolved from casual whispers to outright accusations. The sort of murmurs that reached Remy's ears. Now, controversy is nothing new to Remy. However, this was a personal matter. Rumor has it that she addressed Pat in private, giving him an opportunity to end the conversation. Rather, he intensified his efforts, supporting Claressa, claiming that Remy's worries were jealous, and defending their bond. That was the first error. The second mistake was underestimating the receipts. Nowadays, it's impossible to sneeze without someone catching it in 4K. And if the rumors are to be believed, there were texts and conversations that went far beyond lighthearted conversation. We're discussing late-night vibes that are laced with inside jokes and barely disguised praise that shouldn't be given by a married man to a non-wife. These purported texts served as the smoking gun that confirmed Remy's worst suspicions. This is where Papoose took his biggest risk. He made a daring, hazardous decision that would alter the course of his personal and professional life rather than attempting to make things better at home. Remy Ma, who kept him in check when his own career was barely afloat, was left behind when he opted for Claressa, who was already married to another guy. You can't recover from a headline like that. The streets took note. Social media exploded. Incredulously. Every public exchange between Pap and Claressa during the previous year was examined in Twitter threads, which slowed down footage as if they were from the Zapruder movie. Overlaying footage of Pap at Claressa's fights with dramatic tunes and comments like this, TikTok producers had a field day. Didn't hold up over time. In terms of Pap's reputation, the backlash did not happen right away. Some supporters first attempted to defend him by arguing that he was entitled to happiness. However, things quickly changed when Claressa's relationship with her fiancé became clear. Papoose became the antagonist in a story he likely believed he would be praised for when the plot changed from a fresh romance to a home-destroying scandal. However, karma, like a nice storyline twist. Shortly after Pap and Remy's separation was made public, Claressa Shields stunned everyone by revealing her separation from Papoose. She also didn't do it in silence. No, ladies and gentlemen. There was no possibility of misunderstanding because this was done in public. Sources claim that she made it clear to him that the relationship was done. And why? She was leaving, returning to concentrate on herself and perhaps rekindling her relationship with her first fiancé. The embarrassment came immediately. Imagine yourself stranded in the middle of a hurricane with no land in sight after burning the bridge to your safe port. A wager that Pap had taken all his money on backfired. The man who had once been the epitome of loyalty was now a symbol of poor choices. Remy Ma remained mute, which somehow made the situation 10 times worse, as if that weren't bad enough. For someone like Remy, remaining silent is a tactic, not a sign of weakness. And she remained silent every day. The internet filled in the gaps with its own stories, the majority of which portrayed Pap as a warning. The murmurs are more audible now than before. According to reports, Papoose has been contacting their mutual pals to see if Remy would even respond. Engage in a dialogue. Others assert that he is privately expressing sorrow, even telling some that he ruined his greatest experience. The world is watching, and the man is cornered. It remains to be seen if such admissions are sincere or merely damage control. When we left off, Papoose had cheated on Claressa Shields and abandoned his marriage to Remy Ma, who had supported him for more than 10 years, only to find himself humiliated and alone. The internet was devouring the news of Claressa, the GWAT, publicly severing relations like a bag of hot Cheetos. But believe me when I say that was only the prelude. The problem with Hollywood and hip-hop scandals is that they never remain one-dimensional. They go in a spiral. Oh, and this one was on the verge of being a Category 5 storm. Let's start with the visuals. Before being seen by paparazzi looking, well, let's say not so camera-ready, Papoose used to walk the red carpets with Remy, all suit and smile. Unshaven sweats that are loose. The sort of dejected stance that shouts, "I'm reconsidering every choice I have ever made." Those pictures all went viral, with captions like, "This is what happens when you fumble the bag." Twitter was unrelenting. Papoose left Beyoncé for Ashanti, according to a specific tweet that went viral. However, Beyoncé is ashy and Remy were already engaged. What a bloodbath the comment section is. Because he was the ultimate degradation, fans dragged him. He was compared by memes to comedy characters that unnecessarily destroyed everything. Additionally, TikTok users played out the split featuring laugh tracks and sound effects. However, something more sinister was developing while Pat was the internet clown. Do you recall Claressa's former fiancé? The man from whom Pap is said to have stolen her? Evidently, he wasn't going to overlook the entire situation. According to insiders, this ex has been covertly providing vloggers and YouTube gossip channels with exclusive information, not only hearsay receipts, voice notes, screenshots of texts, and purported images of Pap in inappropriate locations. According to one leaked correspondence, Pap joked about how simple it was to remove Claressa from her partner. He boasted in another late-night audio that his name would be in the news once the relationship was made public. The leaks quickly made their way into social media. And after they did, the story stopped being depressing. Split to deliberate treachery. All of a sudden, Pap was more than simply the man who had made a poor romantic decision. He was the serpent that slithered into someone else's garden, destroyed it, and then was bitten. In contrast, Remy was winning this split without doing anything. She began using mysterious captions on her Instagram photos. Nothing blunt, just teasing remarks like, "The trash took itself out. In order to give you what you deserve, God will occasionally allow you to lose what you believed you desired." It was well received by the fans, with thousands of comments encouraging her and telling Pap just what he had thrown away. Each post went viral. And you know what made Pap's situation even worse? The music business was observing. Brands and event planners started to quietly retreat. He was scheduled to perform at a hip-hop festival, but the promoter reportedly canceled, saying to a source, "We don't want that kind of mess overshadowing our event." Plans for sponsorship agreements came to a standstill. Once admired for his faithfulness to the woman he stood by, the man now had the reputation for being erratic and untrustworthy. However, this is when his situation became really risky. Several people began speculating about a tell-all, some of whom were purportedly among Claressa's inner group. Not only regarding their brief romance, but also regarding what truly took place behind closed doors. The kind of tell-all that might expose Pap to severe legal repercussions in addition to destroying what little of his reputation remains. You see, there's a lot of money, branding, and contractual duties when you're with someone as well known as Claressa Shields. Lawsuits may result from any disarray, particularly if specific private messages or images are eventually made public. Some of those receipts are nuclear, based on what I've heard. Pap was spinning in the meantime. According to those close to him, he has been contacting their mutual connections in an attempt to them to arrange a truce with Remy of some kind. To at least get the public off his back, if not to reignite romance. The issue? Remy isn't even biting. According to one insider who has known Remy for years, a blogger, she's finished. This is a funeral, not a war. She's making sure Pap feels it, even though he doesn't yet realize it. Since the split, she has consistently demonstrated that living well is the best form of retaliation in her appearances. The perfect hair, a statement making clothing, and that smug, "I told you so" smirk that goes deeper than any diss song. The worst part is that she has been quietly getting back together with people in the industry that Pap had a falling out with over the years to remind him of how tiny his circle has become. But Pap's actual gut punch appeared when Claressa finally spoke. She hardly mentioned his name in the interview, not in a clumsy live tirade. "I've learned that some people come into your life to teach you lessons, and sometimes that lesson is what you don't want," she remarked simply when asked about the split. "Aw." The interviewer's following question was overpowered by the subtext. The attempts to control the damage then began. On fan pages, Pap started to like old pictures of him and Remy. He posted ambiguous, depressing content concerning valuing genuine ones and taking responsibility for your errors. However, the internet refused to accept it. Clown emojis were instantly added to screenshots of his posts, and people accused him of expressing regret only because Claressa had broken up with him. And it got worse just when you thought it couldn't get much worse. The blogs were attacked by a fresh leak. A purported text exchange in which Pap appeared to be planning with a friend how to use his relationship with Claressa to gain access to specific celebrity and sports circles. If true, it portrayed the entire romance as more about professional advancement than love. As a result, the public's impression shifted from one of a devastated man to one of an opportunist who was outplayed. One question is currently circulating the streets. Is Claressa's ex-fiancé going to subject Papoose to yet another round of humiliation? According to rumors, the man has been sitting on the most juicy receipt of all. He's waiting for the right time to release it, therefore it hasn't been leaked yet. And believe me when I say that timing is crucial in gossip warfare. This leads us to Pap's current location. Trapped between a previous lover who has cut him out of her life and a lady who doesn't want anything to do with him. The internet is ready to make fun of him whenever his name becomes popular, and the ex-fiancé has a grudge. Ladies and gentlemen, you are mistaken if you believe that this tale has peaked. For what is going to happen next? All hell breaks loose. At that point, right where the turmoil left us, we're picking up. Papoose retreated into a corner, encircled by imagined and actual adversaries. The individual, the person who formerly had the title of hip-hop's most devoted husband, is now the embodiment of the saying, "Don't let fleeting passion destroy enduring loyalty." But right when you thought the torrent of humiliation had finally stopped, it had just pulled into the next station.
Oh no.
Because of Claressa's former fiancé, the silent shadow throughout the entire story. Yes. He's been playing the long game, it turns out. This man remained low, collecting ammunition, while Pap was being ridiculed on a regular basis by blogs and social media. Not just screenshots, not just rumors. Proof. And by evidence, I mean the kind that makes you put down your phone and read it 3 times over in order to comprehend the outrageousness. Rumor has it that this ex-partner had been preserving a particular voice tape for months. According to reports, Pap talks of setting himself up for a better career move by connecting with Claressa, even claiming that she served as a springboard to social circles that he otherwise wouldn't be able to enter. Brutal. And it was like throwing a grenade into an already blazing inferno when this recording emerged, thanks to an anonymous tip to a well-known gossip website. He left Remy for networking chances after Twitter took off. Bro believed he was the pawn in a game of chess. The courtside tickets at Pap were completely sold out. The memes consisted of constant side-by-side pictures of Pap with depressing captions. When the stepping stone retreated, one shoe manufacturer was subweeded by brands as well. Published, "Never give up your genuine ones for phony influence." Barbaric. Remy Ma, meanwhile, remained silent. Not a word, which was brilliant because it allowed the internet to speak for her. Each day, her elderly interviews on self-worth, loyalty, and self-respect reappeared, transformed into numerous inspirational videos that also served as Pap slander. However, Claressa finally spoke up, and it was a masterful display of cold detachment. She stated in a live Instagram video, "People enter your life with intentions that aren't always immediately apparent. However, when the truth is revealed, you let God take care of the cleanup." Everyone knew exactly who she was referring to, even though there were no names or direct shots. And just when you believed that was the final blow, there was more turmoil to come. According to an unnamed industry insider who spoke to one of the largest hip-hop blogs, Pap had been cautioned by several common acquaintances not to engage with Claressa in the first place. This report claims that they informed him, but she's still involved. You will be the villain if it goes to the left, and the optics will be poor. According to reports, Pap dismissed it, believing he could manage the consequences. He was unable to, spoiler alert. As a result, Pap's reputation in the workplace was in ruins. Quicker than his own reputation. He was supposedly counting on a major collaboration with a legendary East Coast rapper, but it discreetly fell through. Reservations dwindled. According to a friend, one festival promoter said, "If we put him on the program, all people will talk about is the scandal. We're not here to sell soap opera tickets." The streets were also not forgiving. "Where's Claressa?" was shouted instead of applause when Pap was cited at a recent public presentation. Oh, hold on. When the video went viral on TikTok, it received millions of hours of views. The public had shifted from indignation to amusement by this time. The moral anger over loyalty or betrayal had changed. It was now a common joke. Furthermore, being a joke is considerably worse than being loathed in the harsh world of internet culture. This is where things really go nuclear. Claressa and her ex-fiancé exchanged SMS before to her and Pat's breakup, according to a well-known blogger. Text messages that apparently demonstrate that she was still in communication with her ex, discussing how she missed their previous life and how it wasn't as thrilling as she had imagined. If these texts are authentic, it indicates that Pap left Remy for a lady who wasn't even really into him from the start, in addition to a woman who was previously in a relationship with the former fiancé. He is making the most of this situation. He has been seen at gatherings with some prominent members of the industry who are also close to Remy. Is it a coincidence? Not sure. According to the rumor mill, he and Remy may even do a joint interview. Not to openly criticize Pap, but to discuss about the things that have been learned. If that occurs, just think of the PR disaster. Pap has been attempting to regain some control over the story throughout all of this. According to reports, he has been contacting reliable reporters and offering to clear the air in return for an impartial interview. What needs to be clarified, however, is the issue. The public view, the gossip, and the receipts. His tale has already been written. Right now, whatever he says seems like damage control. Additionally, ladies, and here's the real kicker, gentlemen. There is one last bombshell that hasn't been revealed yet, I've been informed. Something in Claressa's possession, possibly a film that would ruin Pap's reputation in the public and music industries. Additionally, based on what I'm hearing, if Pap attempts to rewrite the story to make her the antagonist, she is prepared to use it as her trump card. This scandal won't simply stop if she plays that card. Pap as we know him will come to an end. So, this is our current situation. Remy Ma's legacy, radiant and unaltered. Claressa Shields maintains charge of the GWAT. Professionally sidelined, humiliated, and just one mistake away from complete destruction. Furthermore, everyone is wondering when the next leak will occur rather than if it will occur at all. Because in cases such as these, the ultimate you never know when a blow will strike. Let's be quite clear, ladies and gentlemen. This isn't your typical tumultuous celebrity split. Stories like this have the power to change careers, alter reputations, and demonstrate just how quickly devotion can be used as leverage. If these receipts are even partially accurate, Papoose left the woman who had supported him during his toughest moments for someone who never considered him more than a passing delight. The internet is going crazy because the roles have been reversed so quickly. Remy Ma appears to be maturing as she sits back unaltered. In reverse, Claressa Shields